Welcome back to the channel. I'm on location in sunny Southern California in Irvine. So this channel has been known to provide updates, and I've even been known to play a little guitar and drink a little wine when a busy training day is over. I'm going to need all of that. So I took down some notes, things to update you that I think you might find of interest. I did happen to meet up before I came. I met up with a technician. His name is Chris, and he has in recent years moved close to my area and was working close to me, and asked if he could meet up with me and buy me a coffee and some brunch. Wow. So I said yes. And so it was really good to meet up with him. I'm going to try to fly his picture in here. Here we go. So Chris and I were talking about in his early days that he was having trouble with his vinyl repairs, and he was asking distributors what was the right temperature, for his vinyl repairs. And he was told, 300 something degrees. It just wasn't working for him. So then he contacted one of the major suppliers out of North Carolina, and they told him 360 degrees. So he tried that, and that wasn't working for him either. And it's funny because I had heard from other techs that said that they were told by their distributor in Atlanta that something like 360 degrees was the right temperature for vinyl repairs. Okay. So where does this information come from, right? Well, it doesn't come from our industry. So these distributors who are not in the field, okay, these are not people that are out in the field every day. They're sitting in the office and they're reading literature that says 360 degrees. Is that true? Well, in context, yes, okay? But in context, in the industry, for their application that is being talked about, the application is as thin as this paper out of an adding machine, okay? It's that thin. So are you putting your vinyl repair compound in a layer only that thin on either a solid substrate or a woven substrate? Are you putting it on that thin? Well, typically no, right? Maybe the final application could be, maybe, but not your major repair, is it? Not your base repair is not that thin. So then the question should be, what would be the temperature on the underside of that thickness, right, of your repair compound? Okay, but we're still not there yet. Okay, so how about below that? What is the temperature of the top side of the vinyl you want to be repairing, right? Because you need to get adhesion to the vinyl. Well, the vinyl has a temperature at which it will remelt, okay? What is that temperature? Well, we don't know. We're not there to see what temperature the vinyl you're working on will remelt, okay? We're not there to see that. Only you know that. Only you can detect that by applying heat to it, okay? That is the temperature you need to be thinking about, okay? And so you can't ask anyone else, what is the temperature for your vinyl repair, because they don't know what you're working on. And until we get a remelt of some sort on the original vinyl, we're not going to get adhesion of our repair compound. But you can rest assured that by the time you reach the remelt temperature of your vinyl, you've already well cured your vinyl repair compound, okay? So that's one thing that I had wanted to make a note of here, since talking to Chris, and we had a nice discussion about that. So just to further that, I have a example that I'd like to fly in here of another repair. This is a repair done previously, and if I can pause it. So you can see here that, well, for one thing, you see that the aerosol color was sprayed on here, which wasn't even close. But what do you see? Do you see the vinyl repair cured? Yes. Do you see it adhering to the vinyl? That's another story, okay? So you see the difference here? There's a difference in temperature depending on your perspective. Yes, it's cured. No, it's no good. It's no good at all. Now, you can see the ridges behind here because the original vinyl was rather rigid there and it's standing up, right? It's poking up into the repair. So the original vinyl has not been melted down out of the way. And we can continue looking at this, and I have another picture of that where we have the ridges sticking up there. There was no effort to attain to the temperature that could depress these springs and break the spring pressure. These things are going to continue to boing boing up into your repair compound as they showed up, in this person's repair. So they haven't even closely got to the heat that was necessary to complete this repair. And we've talked about that on this channel before, where you need to depress the spring and get it out of your way. So just to follow up and show the benefits of getting that up to temperature, I had to, of course, redo this repair. And I'm going to tell you what I've used for this. I've used a heavy-duty repair compound with the thermoplastic fine powder mixed into it, about 50-50. Now, the advantage of this, just to put it into perspective, when plastic melts, right, it really sticks, doesn't it? Have you ever got hot glue on your finger and have it stick on there and keep burning and you're frantically trying to peel it off? That's what I'm talking about. Or how about pulling a pizza out of the oven and cutting it and having the pizza string out, the cheese strings out, right? It's so hot. Or how about biting into that cheese and having it stick to the roof of your mouth? That's no fun, is it? How many people here? Yeah, it's happened to everybody here. No fun at all. So imagine how the plastic powder would be acting in your repair. Imagine that. So it is melted hot, like sticky, stringy plastic, and it's going to be melting into whatever it touches. So now we have a new factor involved in getting adhesion on your vinyl repairs. Isn't that exciting? So that's a really nice mechanism that comes along with the structure, by the way, of the plastic. So the repair also more closely resembles the vinyl. For the very first time in the history of vinyl repair, we have something that resembles the vinyl. This should have been done since day one, right? Well, we're excited to be there now for however long vinyl lasts, and it's being phased out quite often now in modern cars as well. So, late to the party, but we'll appreciate having it at this time anyway. So, and I'm just going to show you a picture of the re-repair. And what I want you to see out of this, because I've used only the heavy-duty compound with the plastic powder, with a heavier Teflon, the travel iron, and a chill bar. Never used a heat gun on this, and never used a grain pad on this, okay? Just for an example, just to show what kind of results we're getting with that. And what I want you to look for in this is the difference between the original vinyl and the repair. See if we can see a difference. And you might see a difference, but just notice how well it makes this transition. It looks the same weight as the original vinyl, and you can't see where the vinyl stops and the repair begins. Isn't that beautiful? It is in there. So that's pretty much fun right there. That's exciting, to have that in our arsenal right now. So we're privileged to have that. So what I'm doing here in Costa Mesa is conducting a class And I have a picture too of the first day of the class here. Here we go. So this is the first day, and what we're doing on the first morning, by the way, maybe I can put this up on the screen. We're starting the morning with color theory made practical. That sounds interesting, right? Making it practical. The next part of the morning is color matching principles. And the third part we've talked about a little bit on this channel, eye training. Okay, that's so important to look at it from that perspective to make everything really work for you. And then the next part of the morning, the impact of additives and application methods on the appearance of our color, right? So, in fact, in this particular picture, what we're doing here, we're discussing what to do if you're running out of a known good color on a job. That can be stressful. We don't want to have to go through the process of mixing that color again. So that creates anxiety for us when that happens to us. We're talking about two things that can erase the anxiety from that situation. And that's what we need for the field techs. We need to take away that anxiety, any anxiety, when it comes to matching colors. So we really enjoyed that in the class. Now the hosts for this class are also very excited about the new focus on current methods and current products for today's repairs, the current market. And in their words, they've been disenchanted because the industry is 30 years behind the times. And what are they going to do to train people? They're at their wits' end. So it's funny that they said 30 years behind the times, because that's what I've been saying all along. And independently from me, they've come to the same conclusion. And so let's see an example of what they're talking about, because I have another repair. And this is on a very old Cougar, all right? So imagine in the early days of repairing, what the early technicians would have to do in the way of craftsmanship. So we have this repair needed on the door panel. They've circled that so we made sure that we didn't miss it, okay? And you see the print in there. So we have two colors to speckle, that print in there. So it takes a real craftsman to come up with that. I'm sure you would agree. So this is what the early vinyl repair people faced. And then there's this dash repair. And what I like about this is, in case I missed the dash repair, they put an X right there, okay? That's a good thing, because I never would have seen that, Man, I missed it. Could you put an X there for me, please, so I can find it? That's hilarious right there. I don't care who you are, that's funny. Okay, and then there's the seat damage. Now, it's not a very big damage on the leather seat, but again, look at the print, right? So this print can't be done with an aerosol can. We didn't have aerosol cans for that back then, not for this kind of a thing. So the early people strove to be craftsmen. The trouble with that is that we didn't have all the tools at our disposal that we have today. We have so many great products today and so many new tools, and even the physical tools that we need are less expensive today than they were then. It was a big deal to invest in what you needed back then, and it's so much more readily available today for anyone. So this is what we had to face in the olden days, and so I'm just going to show a little picture here of the repair on the door panel, trying to get those two colors speckled in there the best we can on that. And here's the seat, trying to get those brown freckles into that design the best we can, and keep that repair as small as possible. So that's what we had to strive for in the old days. And how about the dash? Well, we found out where the repair was thanks to the X, so we got that done too. So in the old days, we really did strive to be craftsmen, and we didn't have everything available to us that we have today. So certainly the technician of today should be even more of a craftsman than in the past. But what's happened? What direction has the industry gone? Well, interior repair apparently is no longer viewed as a skilled profession. We were the first ones to instigate the trade shows, the mobile tech show. The interior repair technician was the first one to do repairs mobile. Before that, there were just the trim shops where the dealer would have to take the cars to the trim shop, right? So that was a new idea, the mobile repair thing. We're the first ones on that. And now we're not even mentioned hardly at the trim shows at all. In fact, the last mobile tech show that I was at a booth in working, the index didn't even feature anything about the interior business whatsoever. And I felt like we were forgotten, even though we were once one of the very beginning of the show entirely. So what we've become is viewed as not a skilled profession. We have really, as an industry, we've soiled our bed, and some are just happy to still lie in that. Right? But the host for the training feel that things are changing in the industry, and the dealerships are expecting more, and that the people that are not willing to change and modernize in their skills in this profession are going to get washed out of the business. That's what they feel, So is that true? I don't know. Maybe it is, because other people have maybe a better handle on the business than I do. But I'm not here to change, society, but I am happy to help individual technicians if they want to improve on their craftsmanship in any way that I can. So it's a joy to me to see others find fulfillment in their work too. So, and what a joy to be able to present certificates to this new class. So I'm really excited about that. So we have one more day to go before we can do that. But looking forward to it, and it's been a joy to work with these people. They are very dedicated and very inquisitive. They ask a lot of questions, and that gives me direction then also for the training. Glad to do it, glad to have these questions. In fact, I have one more picture, if I can find it here, of some work that they've done. Now, bear in mind, this is their very first field repair on a blowout on the vinyl that you've seen this on a Silverado truck, very typical. So we had 4 people involved in this one repair. We did it in 4 parts. So bear in mind, this is their very first one, but I give them high marks for the first one. And on this one, they used the same techniques as I mentioned earlier. This one we did use the graining pad and the heat gun but we had 4 different places, so maybe not the continuity you might have expected if you did it yourself. But I was very proud of these guys for putting forth this repair. And again, let's see if we can transition from the original vinyl in through the repair in here. That's what I wanted to show here. What a nice transition this is. It's every bit just like the original vinyl. So anyway, I was proud of this class, and I'm proud to be working along with another company that's interested in pushing the industry in a positive forward direction. Gives me a lot of joy. So I hope you appreciate this update. Thanks for watching.